Hey everyone, just wanted to talk a little bit about week 4 assignments. This week you will have one discussion and you will also have the developmental assessment paper as well as the mid-semester evaluation. The mid-semester evaluation will be helpful for me in determining how to best proceed with the rest of the course in order to really cater it towards what your needs are. So any feedback will be definitely appreciated. So moving on to what we have for this week. You'll see the required readings and videos here and learning resources. The discussion post will be focused on countertransference and transference issues, cultural competence. So you'll see readings related to both here. Chapter 3 in the Goldstein book reviews relational theory, which commonly focuses on the use of self within the therapeutic relationship. So this requires a lot of self-awareness and as well as awareness of the client's transference and enactments. I find in practice that using this as a tool has become very powerful and can often build trust if done appropriately. At times, it can be eye-opening for the client and really transform their relationships with others. Oftentimes, if the client is contributing to certain feelings in the clinician, such as anxiety, anger, fear, they're likely contributing to others feeling this within their lives, as well. So and the only limitation to this is, of course, when we as clinicians might have our own irrational perspectives related to our own history, which is where the self-awareness of the clinician and supervision is so important because it could be easy to feel something related to what the client says or does, and think, okay, like maybe I can use this within our relationship and confront the client about something, but we first want to make sure that it's not just due to our own irrational beliefs. So there are a lot of reading related to multicultural practice, as I said. Cultural competence is so important within the work that we do. A client's culture and experience with oppression and discrimination can greatly impact the therapeutic relationship and treatment. This is something that is important to consider at all points in treatment in order to allow the client to feel safe, comfortable, understood. You'll notice that there are a few sections in the developmental assessment paper as well, in which you're asked to describe issues related to discrimination and oppression and the impact that this has on treatment. Some of these readings here, the articles as well as the chapter in the Cooper book, might be helpful for that portion of the paper as well. You'll see here as well, you're only required to do 2 of these articles. It may actually be a good idea to pick 2 that may relate more to the client that you choose for the developmental assessment paper. You'll be potentially using some of these articles for the discussion post as well, but it could be useful to just kind of be able to utilize it for both assignments. Moving on to the discussion post for this week, we will have our first group post. You were placed into dyads or triads at the beginning of the course, which you can find if you click on people and then groups in Canvas. They're indicated as week 4 groups. There you'll find who you'll be working with. You have to click on the drop-down menu in each group. And if you are part of a triad, just keep in mind that you'll need to discuss who you will be responding to in order to coordinate. If you're a dyad, you don't really have to worry about that. So this post is different than previous, as the initial post is going to probably be shorter than the response post is going to require you. The response post is the one where you're probably going to be citing references and such. So it's a little bit opposite from how we've done things thus far. Each of you for the initial post will need to create a hypothetical client and describe any necessary information about the client, such as presenting concerns, developmental history, trauma history, early relationships, affect in presenting for treatment, and etc. Make sure to provide enough detail for your group member to identify any countertransference, transference issues, or cultural related concerns. And then in your response post, you'll be following these 4 guidelines here. In order to get full credit, you'll need to hit all of these points. In terms of transference and countertransference, you can describe specific interactions you might see or types of transference and countertransference, such as self-object transference, repetitive transference, mutual enactment. These are all things that are described within I think it was chapter 7 in the Goldstein book. You can then discuss any barriers to engagement. This may relate to the client's resistance or your own emotional reactions to the client. It could be helpful to identify both here. In addition, you might list any multicultural issues, that might relate to your engagement with the client as well. So then in identifying supports, you may indicate personal psychotherapy, consultation, supervision, or even seeking education on specific factors related to culture. Then lastly, what you would do in terms of intervention. Here, I want you to focus less on an intervention that's more problem focused and more on intervention that is relationship focused or seeking to be more culturally competent. Just for the purposes of this post, clearly, those are the things that we're focusing on this week. So I'd like you to stick within that realm. So as usual, make sure you provide appropriate citations and reference the rubric. Make sure that you proofread your post as well to cut down on any grammatical errors that could make it hard to follow. And reach out with any questions. I hope everyone has a great week.